dawning. All right, here we are.
I think that's good. I think that's
right.
a good start. 1 year later, over 1 year, right? One
think so.
year and 1 month.
Yeah, February 15th, I think, of last year.
Yeah, something like that.
And then the world
And
got
then the
quiet.
world changed. Yeah, so hi everyone. I'm Larry Chen. This is Rob Fuller from Z-Car Garage.
Hello there.
And 1 year ago, I dropped off my 1970 240Z. Haha, I know everybody likes to make fun of me for bringing up my car in every single video.
Why wouldn't
I
you?
love my car, okay?
I love your car. Why
well,
wouldn't
yeah.
you bring it up?
Well, after a year, Rob has transformed it into something else. Nothing like what it was before. Honestly, to be honest, it was kind of a pile of crap.
No, don't say that.
No, it was.
It was just a canvas that just needed some touch-ups.
Well, with that said, we're gonna dig into that. We're gonna take a look at the car. I just peeked in there super quick. I just looked at it and I honestly got emotional. Everything came back to me. You know, I bought that on my 21st birthday and I've just been through everything with it. It's been with me through everything, including trying to sell it at one point, you know, because I needed the funds, but then luckily being able to turn everything around. And then I got married with that car. You know, we had the cans behind it and I did a burnout.
Love it. Love it.
It's just like my lifer car, you know, that's the one. With that said, I just wanted to do kind of like a life update with Rob because as you mentioned, since I saw you last, the world was normal and then it went to crap and then now we're back again.
Slowly coming back, absolutely. So it got quiet. And
So-
then people that are on the move like you, right? We were stop in place, which isn't good for people that like to move.
No, not at all. Out here, you guys got a lot of projects, but inside is where the real magic happens.
Let's go check it out.
Let's check it out. All right, so yeah, this is the scene. I walked in here and I was beside myself. I was just I was speechless, really, I think. I just haven't seen it in over a year, but also I haven't seen it in this state of Z-Car Garage perfection. You know, and you have, in a way, as you mentioned, it's good that you had more time with it and then the world went crazy. Essentially, I couldn't pick it up, but you had way, way, way more time to tinker and fine tune and all of that, including, you know, changing the wheel size.
Yep, we change your wheels and just change so many things. And that's I think the good and bad of any car project, whether it be a Nissan or whatever it may be, it's just the deeper you get in, the more things you find. And then if you have the time, right, now is the time to get after it and fix those little things. And it's kind of like a layer, right? You peel back one layer like, oh shit, like we're gonna do this, this, and this, and this, and then you fix it. And so bad that the world had to stop, but good that we made the best of it.
Yeah, and I see that. And you know, the thing is, you guys, as a tuning business and also essentially restoration business, you guys didn't stop. You guys kept going, and you guys kept building these awesome cars, keeping them on the road.
Very fortunate, and again, it just everybody that works here is a part of the Z-Car Garage and is living it. You know, all of us say that we don't have a job, right? We have a lifestyle, and Z-Car Garage is this place where, again, you know, it's like our dojo, and like we come here to exercise how much we love Datsuns and Nissans. And so our customer base, same thing. Like when the world shut down, they called me and they're like, look, if you need anything, I'm in. Like Z-Car Garage has to be here. If the world stops, right, we need to kind of just make sure that when it starts rotating again, Z-Car Garage can be here. And so again, just thanks to my guys, my customers, everybody, people like you that allowed me to keep jamming. And I felt so thankful every day. And it was really awesome that we got to kind of have uninterrupted time to get some of these cool projects done.
So tell me about this scene. I mean, right now it's a mishmash of cars.
Sure.
I know we're gonna feature some specific cars here, so I won't go into them too deeply.
Sure.
But let's just go one by one.
Right.
What is this?
This is the Jim Fitzgerald GTU 280ZX, and it's owned by a gentleman that lives back east named Randy Jaffe. And we are just kind of getting it ready to race so that when he's on the East Coast, if an event pops up, then he can hop inside the car and get after it.
Look at this. If you ever questioned what a car is,
oh yeah,
it's just, I love that
sure.
It takes up this whole area.
Oh yeah, no, it's fantastic. It's a really cool car with a great history. And again, it's got 10-inch front tires, and it's got 12s in the back, and it's just a wonderful, very serious race car.
I love this light so much. This is like a trailer brake light, and it says "oh shit" on it. I'm guessing that's what, oil pressure?
Yeah. That is absolutely correct. Yes, sir. Yep.
What motor is in this?
This
thing?
has a 2.8 in it, so it has a Rebello Racing 2.8 vintage race engine.
Can we take a look at it real quick?
We sure can. We're going to need the assist.
Okay.
And then Alvin, if you don't mind, there is Alvin. He runs the social media for Z-Car Garage.
Oh, we know Alvin.
And again, he makes us a lot cooler than we are on the interwebs. Yeah.
Super clean.
Absolutely.
All business.
Yep. Dry sump. Really cool duct work here in the front. Right. This gets all that air channeled to the radiator.
This is incredible. So is this original stuff?
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah, this is all the GTU bodywork.
So this, right now, when it does race, it's all vintage racing, but around what era did this actually race?
This raced 79, 80, I think 81, so I think 3 or 4 years.
That's incredible. I love this. Enduro by Activision. Like, this is such an old logo.
Really cool.
I think it's cool. Very cool. All right, so what else do we have next to it? This thing is...
Yeah, so that's...
We'll talk about this briefly, but I think we should do a full video on this.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a really special car. And so that's a 70 240Z with 2,300 miles on it.
No way.
Yes, it never left Nissan until just a few months ago.
Huh. Okay. 2,300 miles. And it's a
record-breaking Salt Flats car.
But it's weird. It's a left-hand drive, but it's a Geno's.
Well, this is the coolest thing, right? Is the guys in Nissan were racing this car, and so in '72, Racer Brown ran this car. I think they did 152, and then the car was at Nissan, and then there was Geno's parts there. Those are from a 432, 432R, and so is the steering wheel.
Wow.
And so all of these pieces were just around, and so they were getting put onto the car.
I love the livery. I love this, the Datsun,
Absolutely.
where it's like kind of like bleeding.
Yeah. Oh. And in '76, right, that's when it breaks another record that actually stood until 1985. And so this car did 166 miles an hour on the Salt Flats. Really cool.
Well, let's do a full video on this.
Absolutely.
Because I think it's a deserving
Agreed.
of a full video
Sure.
where we pour over every single little
Sure.
detail. Because I know you know so much about this.
I live for it, and this is so cool to be a part of it. And again, right? I mean, look at this. I mean, look at the back glass. No rear defrost.
Whoa.
Yeah, so early cars didn't have the rear defrost.
Interesting.
So again, this is a really cool thing, and we'll definitely spend some time. And the other thing that we'll get to do, we're going to drive it. We're going to drive around.
I can't wait for that. That's going to be incredible. This is your personal race car that has some battle scars.
It is. That's my favorite non-Nissan. That is the Mazda Miata. And the only thing I don't like about Mazda Miatas is I wish Nissan would have made them because they're just incredible, and I love them.
This is another customer car that we'll probably do a full video on.
Correct.
Because
this is Trevor's car, and he lives in Reno, Nevada, and he brought us his Z-Car to get some of the cool Z-Car Garage stuff on it. So it has our brakes, our wheel and tire package, and then it has a 6-speed. And the reason I'm super excited about this car is that a 280Z is still obtainable. You can still find yourself a clean 280Z and make it your canvas.
Is this the one where I saw on your social media where you got a brand new transmission from Nissan?
Correct, yes. This has the CD009.
That's really cool. So you can actually order brand new in a box.
Yeah, the 6-speed from a 350Z, and then using the Hoke Performance install kit, install it into this car. And it's a game changer, which when we drive around, you'll see. And there's nothing fancy about this engine. Like, this is just a 280Z that makes good power with a header and a nice exhaust system. But putting these couple of things into it make it drive just so wonderfully. You don't want to get out. You're just connecting the dots with the gear shift, you're getting on your brakes, and you're just enjoying.
Do you just call up Nissan and order it?
Oh, yeah.
How much is it from Nissan?
About $2,200.
That's pretty good for a brand new transmission.
Brand new transmission, 6-speed, I'll take it.
Yeah. Tell me about this Z32 up here.
This is a Z32 that we've worked on for a really long time, and so it's one of the still in SMZ cars. And so it has a built engine and bigger turbos and bigger injectors, and it's just here for some service stuff. Actually, if we look at the rear tires, I think it was time for rear tires a little while ago.
Yeah.
So it's going to get some tires, it's going to get some brake work, but again, as you know, like, I'm a huge fan of the 90s Nissans, right? The Z32 is incredible. Like, out of the big bad boys from Japan of the 90s, man, the Z32 is just wonderful.
Just this scene right here looks like a scene out of Japan. I mean,
Yeah.
You have the R32 up there, you have the 510, you have the 240Zs. I just can't believe how many amazing Datsuns and Nissans are just in this little scene, minus the Miata, of course, but we'll forgive you for that because
listen,
you actually
no Mazda
raced
hate.
that.
No Mazda hate. I love them.
You
so.
actually raced that.
I do.
In SECA.
Correct, yes.
Yeah.
Yep, in 2 different classes. And then again, it's just the early Miata just so reminds me of what Nissan was doing, right? With the 510, the 240Z, and the Roadster. It's just a really, really great platform for doing a cool couple of things too and making them wonderful. But again, when we're inside the Z-Car garage, I can't speak too often about Mazdas.
Well, you also race the 510.
510.
This is your historic race car.
Yeah, so it's a tribute of a really famous historic car, the Bay Area Datsun dealer's car. But yeah, so in CSRG and SVRA and HMSA, we race this car, and it's fantastic.
I love the livery on this so much. It's so simple, but it's like it's a very long slogan.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we call it the bad 510.
It could just be. I mean, they could have just called it bad Bay Area Datsuns,
yeah.
but I love that they added dealers too.
Yeah. It's really cool. And again, 510s are just fantastic. And I love racing them. And again, there's a historic 510 over there in the corner of the Corky Bell car, so we're excited to put that car together. And, we probably got a handful of guys that we take care of their vintage race car 510s. And it's just so much fun. There's just nothing better, right? You're at the front straight of Laguna Seca, and it kind of like takes you back in time, and you watch this gaggle of 510s and Alphas and 2002s go down into turn 2. It's just, it's fun.
I love these, and I say this all the time in my videos. It's just a commuter car. It was never meant to be a race car. It was never meant to be a sports car, unlike the Z.
True.
Right?
True
But
story.
the fact is, they still handle amazing, and they're still fun to drive.
Independent rear suspension, 50-50 weight distribution. I mean, I'll take it. If that's the economy car, I'll take it.
Yeah. What are you guys doing to the R32 then?
We did a cylinder head, some camshafts, and then we're doing a full race single turbo setup with a Borg-Warner turbo. It has a Haltech ECU, and it's going to be wonderful.
It's really cool that you guys can work on modern cars. I mean, I guess this is not so modern. This is 30 years old already.
Modern compared to, a 70 240Z for sure. But, we even work on the 350, the 370, the new R35. You can learn, right, in both of them. You can apply a lesson from an old car to a new car, and a new car to an old car. And so I love it. I mean, it keeps me kind of pumped up because you can kind of keep current of what's going on. Did you feel that, Larry? I started to think about the new Z. Man, I'm excited about the new Z car.
I was just gonna bring it up.
Oh, man.
So I was the first person to photograph it outside of Nissan, and it was a special moment.
Yeah.
And also, it was a really special moment for me because Nissan reached out to me For whatever reason, I don't know why. Maybe it is because I mentioned my 240Z in every single one of my videos. But with that said, they reached out to me and I was just so happy. I was just, again, beside myself.
Totally.
With that said, I feel like we did a pretty good job, kind of did it justice. I wanted to show the world what it looked like through my eyes. And I think when you guys put your touch on it,
Can't wait.
not only will it look good, it will perform amazing.
Yeah, super excited about it. I'll never forget when Nissan announced that they were going to make the 350Z. We had worked in, Nissan specialty shops for all those years without a new Z car. And I just remember the countdown, and they were doing the countdown to it. And then they did that video online, and I just like watched it. All these goosebumps came over my body, and I'm like, yes. And then it's just, I can't wait to do that all over again. And how fortunate am I to now I get to see that next generation. Yeah, and you're right, Larry. We can't wait to touch it. So Nissan, if you're listening, Z Car Garage wants to touch the new Z.
If you're listening, if you guys are listening. All right, so what else do we have? Oh, let's talk about this.
So this is the Corky Bell Trans Am Datsun 510, and it ran in 1972. Corky Bell is a famed engineer, done a lot of really cool things in his career. He wrote a really awesome book about turbocharging called Maximum Boost. You should check it out if you haven't already. And so he's 80, and so him and I are in contact, and I hope to restore this car in the next year or so, and then have him vintage race it. I want to connect him, with his old car.
But what's the story of it? Has it just been sitting in a field all?
It's just been sitting around, and it was missing for a really long time, and then it got discovered, I think, in the 90s. I think a guy was racing it in a couple of different classes out in Texas, and then it finally made it to the Bay Area, and it was hiding for a while, and then now we are the next caretakers of it.
Look at that seat.
Yeah, that's the original seat. And then look at how little, and we'll get on this when we go to the BRE car in a moment, but look at how little cage is in these cars. Look at how little stuff, just comparative race cars of today, right? Look at how little, just how small everything is, and it's just so simple. That's the factory pedal box.
Does this open?
Yeah.
Look at this netting. This is the window netting?
Yeah.
This looks like what you would use for fishing.
Well, I was gonna say, or we could play basketball behind your house. It kind of looks that style, right? Like a 70s basketball goal.
I love that this is just
aged. It's super cool, And again, it's just gonna be a lot of fun. And I've been sending pictures back and forth to Corky, and he's telling me everything. I mean, look at the switch panel, all of that stuff. So,
I can't believe this patina.
Oh, it's so cool. Well, again, what's funny is that we wanted to get down to, so this is the way that the car ran in 72. So that's the blue color, and then in the engine bay, and that's what's so much fun about vintage. So this is the factory 510 color, and so it was a mixture of that blue, this red, but everything's here, all the pieces that Corky and the gang made are all original to the car.
So how old was he in his 30s or 20s when he was racing this?
Let's see, in 1972, right? 72 is 49 years ago, and he's 80. Mm-hmm. So late 20s, early 30s.
Huh.
Pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
Oh man, super excited. And then they would get aircraft quality stuff, right? And so everything is aircraft hardware. One, it was light, and then you just go to the wrecking yards.
Okay, so you guys somehow acquired it.
Correct.
And then you're going to restore it.
Correct.
Who actually owns this car then? You actually own it?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So.
So are you you're gonna drive it too then?
I hope so. I mean, but that's my workhorse, and I'm really fond of that car, and so I'm probably going to do that, and then just like the Joel Anderson car, just take it out every once in a while.
So there's provenance to it, I guess.
Absolutely,
Absolutely.
This
is also
because again, right? It ran Trans Am.
Yeah, it's something that at the time it may not have been worth anything really.
Sure.
Even afterwards, it was just an old race car.
Correct. Yeah.
Right?
No, and we never knew that we'd be celebrating Datsuns all these years later, but
the way it looks, it is kind of amazing to see it time capsule, just how simple everything was.
Sure.
This as the dash,
Yep.
steering wheel, this seat. Look at this little pad for the headrest. I love that it's just like on here.
Yeah. And you'll see, right? It's just as time went on, right? If we go back to the GTU car, right? If we go back, it's like now it gets a little bit more serious because we're going faster. The tires are better. I mean, look at all of this work into this car, right? And then you go back to, you know, where it all starts, right? With the BRE 240Z, right? It's like, you know, John Morton, right? This is all that was in the BRE car for safety stuff, is just a roll bar. That's all they had. There's no door bar. There's no anything connecting the front of the chassis.
Okay, let's just talk about this car for a moment. This is so special, and this is kind of the funny thing. When I first walked in here, I looked at it and I was like, oh, cool. It's a replica, like the mini replicas, countless replicas that you've seen in the world, or that people just inspiration liveries. Tell me about this car.
This is the one.
This is the actual car.
This is the car. All the pieces on this car make up the BRE car. So Randy Jaffe out of Atlanta, Georgia, acquired all the pieces to the BRE car, and we put them into this chassis. So the chassis is gone, but everything about this car, this is the BRE car.
Okay.
Everything. So that roll bar there, like all of the pieces, all the little things, all the details are from the car.
But tell me, so this essentially what you're recreating was the race car from back then that John Martin drove.
Correct.
And also that was in the 240Z commercials.
That is correct.
Hi, I'm John Morton, and this is the 240Z we've won so many races with.
You're restoring this.
That is correct, yeah. So this car was restored and we were vintage racing it with John Morton at the wheel. And then in November of 19, we raced it at the Classic 24 at Daytona International Speedway. And we actually were in an accident and the car went over on its roof. And so the car, we thought the car was destroyed. And, you know, again, kudos to Randy Jaffe. He's got a no quit, never say die attitude, and he didn't care what it took, and we brought this car back together. And so our painter, Williams Auto Body, who we use him exclusively for all of our restorations, he took on the task of rebuilding the BRE car. And so the roof was caved in, the front fenders, the hood, everything was mangled on this car. And in 13 months, he brought it back. Now, there were a couple of things on the car that were not correct. The original way that this car raced, the angle of the stripes and the Datsun and the John Morton logo, all these different components weren't perfect on the car. And so again, kudos to Randy. He went and got with John, got with Pete Brock, these living legends, and we 1,000% can say this is exactly the way that this car ran when it ran back in the day.
No kidding.
And so everything's hand painted. The real Ralph, who does a lot of high-end cars, he came here and that was a whole nother experience. It was incredible. He's telling us stories about all this cool stuff, and he's just here. Just like it's just, hey, another day in the office. And so it's incredible. Hand painted.
This is all hand painted.
All hand painted, yes. Just a dying
Even
art.
the smallest little
Correct.
thing.
Yes. Look at the number and look at how crisp the lines are. Like the hand painting and just the attention to detail is incredible.
This is all masked off then?
Yes, he makes he makes kind of a trace paper, makes the line, and then he just goes to it.
I mean, even this.
Yes, correct.
I love, you know what this is? You guys are going to hate me for saying this, but it's like one of those things where, you know, you look at the old oil paintings, right, in the Louvre or wherever.
Sure.
And you see the brush strokes, and I understand that that's, you know, part of it, the texture part of it.
Yeah.
You know, these paintings.
Sure.
And I'm not saying that this is meant to have it, but it's so cool. You can actually see
it's part of it.
individual brush strokes.
Yeah.
And also the level of paint, because sometimes, you know, when you do brush strokes,
Right.
it pushes the paint aside.
Absolutely.
And then it's just different
Well, you can see it here, right? I mean, like, look, come look right here, like really close. You can see those brush strokes and see all that stuff. And what's so cool about it is just, again, the art that these guys create, right? I mean, he's working off pictures that are this big and everything is perfect to scale. And I remember when we were here, you know, Randy flew out from Atlanta and we stood here on a picture of John Morton standing with the car so that we could get the location of the 240Z and the dot. I mean, again, just the amount, just the amount of commitment to make the car exactly the way it's supposed to be is unbelievable. I mean, look at this. I mean, this is single stage paint where my painter laid down. Look at how crisp that line is. Mm-hmm. It's just unbelievable.
Well, this is the line. This is like the main feature of this car.
Yes.
Right?
Sure.
And it follows the body line all the way back. And it's just...
It's killer.
I can't believe how straight it is. So
I can't believe how lucky I am that I get to be a part of it. You know?
So this is what's... some of the parts
that's
from
correct.
the car.
So this is our front spoiler, and again, like I said, Alvin will send you a video so you can see it. But we were pretty much at turn 2 at Daytona at the beginning of the race, and a car shoved over to the side, and we went up on it, and it just flipped up over, and so it was crushed in. I mean, it was pretty scary, and John Morton got out, and he's just like, well, I mean.
It was actually John driving.
Oh, it was, well, thank goodness. Do you think Randy would have had the same reaction? So I was the co-driver. So I was getting in the car. I think, in like 20 minutes. So I think it's okay when a living legend has an accident, but I'm glad that it wasn't me. I'll tell you that. So, but yeah, and what's the coolest thing is we did this Classic 24. I had never been to Daytona, especially not to drive it. And when you drive into that place, the track is it just looks gigantic, and the banking, and I was pretty freaked out, but we went 157 miles an hour in that 240Z on the banks of Daytona.
So this is
with this roll bar. And then it's funny, it's like people ask you after, like, weren't you worried? I didn't think about it. I had a chance to drive the BRE car and be John Morton's co-driver. I'll take the risk.
Yeah, no joke.
But we're going to race this again.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's going to be raced as soon as the world opens up a little bit more. We hope to be at Monterey this year with it.
And then what about the engine? Is it going to be the original engine?
Yep, correct. Yep, everything is done the way that it was done before. It has the same gearbox, the engine, the differential, everything. Have to recreate the magic of 1970 and 71.
Okay, so tell me what is still original and what's still new? The roof, the hood.
So the fenders are brand new from Nissan. That was in my stash of stuff. The hood is brand new from Nissan. That fender, and then the roof.
And then the bottom half of the chassis is still
there. I mean, all of the stuff is there. It just had to be straightened and made to be the way it is now. It just takes a lot of work. So again, our painter is wonderful.
It's amazing to me that this was, I guess the safety stuff worked because John walked away.
When you see the video, it's just pretty scary. It's on our social media. You just crinkled down like this, and it was awesome. Josh, who runs the program, like especially if I'm driving, he runs all of the track stuff, and everybody wanted to come over and take a picture, and we were like, so we covered the car, and then the next morning he straightened it up enough for us to drive it into the trailer. So we drove it into the trailer the day after and flipped over. So.
And this is what it looked like before the accident happened.
Yeah, that was at the Midi. Mm-hmm.
Huh.
So, and it's just amazing, John Morton, Pete Brock, all those BRE guys are just my heroes. And so to be able to, work with them and, they're really into it. Like Pete and Randy and John all email back and forth all the time, and they're super excited to, see what they created live on. Like they had no idea. They had no idea all these years ago that we'd be celebrating it. They were just racing a Datsun and trying to win.
And that's really the thing is, these guys are so accessible still.
Yep.
For example, John Morton.
He's the people's champ, man.
He's interested in the new Z. He wanted to come check out the Z Proto. Just because it's the next generation,
Absolutely.
And he's so ingrained in the culture. And then Pete Brock, oh my God, He's so awesome. I just go to his shop and I just get to buy original BRE parts for my car, which are the ones that you installed on this car.
Right.
Brand new fiberglass, like built for racing, but like essentially pretty much the same things.
Correct.
On this car that they developed
50 years later.
Yeah.
50 years later, and that's the thing, right? Is like they still have the passion. They haven't lost it, right? They're not resting on their laurels. They're creating and doing cool things. And again, and like you said, we have access to them, right? It's like how many people, you grow up and you're like, man, that guy, I'd love to meet him someday. And it's just like, they're fully accessible.
Okay, so, and then you guys are probably wondering, I guess this kind of goes back to, why is it that you're doing this stuff? And then why is it that, fortunately for me, there's a lot of Z tuners in LA, but I choose to come all the way to Northern California to have my car worked on by you, because why not? You're working on, honestly, the most famous 240Z. You're restoring it. The most famous 240Z, period. And it's such an honor for my car, for my little orange bang, to be in the same shop.
Well, again, that's how I feel. I feel exactly honored to be a part of people's stories and tell them. And again, right, it's just, I met these guys when I was, 20, in my middle of my 20s or something. It's like now I'm cresting 50, right? And it's just like I'm still immersed in it. And I just get to be a part of it. Like Randy, same thing. Randy lives in Atlanta, but he chooses us to be a part of his story because we get it. So it's good stuff. So I keep wanting to keep doing it. Let me turn the lights on. Turn on the lights.
We are in your famous Dino Room.
Yes, sir.
Where
let there be light.
This was the first time I ever had a chance to dyno a car. And I was so stressed out because Rob's like, you got to do this. You got to disengage the clutch. You got to turn on the brake, whatever. You got to do all this. Otherwise, essentially, you'll blow the motor, right?
Or go, bad things can happen for sure.
Yeah.
Safety first. That's the only place we're probably safe, right, is in the Dino Room.
So what's going on with these?
This is a restoration of a 73 240Z that we're doing. And so, again, it's been painted, and now we're going to do all the other stuff to it. And so it's here hanging. And then this is a one-owner Safari Gold 240Z. This is VIN number 511.
No way.
Yeah, and so they bought it new, and so they're just doing a mechanical restoration. So we're doing the engine, we're doing the dash, doing some interior work. We're going through and doing the doors like we did in your car.
I love this this bead, the bead on the seats. Like it's almost like this car came with them stock.
Well, it's just, again, that was the thing, right? When you were buzzing this thing around in the 70s, like you had your beads on, make your back feel good. So, but super cool. And then again, just, right, survivor car. And then again, look, one Z-Car shop and 2 glasses without rear defrost. Rad!
Amazing. Look at this scene. Look at this scene.
Oh, yeah. And then this is a 510 that we take care of for road racing. Super cool. And so we got our next event in 2 weeks at Sears Point.
All of these liveries are just so...
Oh, man, they're so awesome.
They're so simple.
Yeah,
but
they work.
Yeah, they work.
And then this is Kelvin's car. Kelvin, can you change your number? Because my number's 7. No, man, your number's 7. So we go back and forth. One of us is 17 and one of us is 77. But really cool car, really clean.
Oh, I remember you said somebody or the original owner of Mrs. Brothers reached out to you.
Oh, yeah.
Can we talk about that?
Sure. Well, we'll have to go back to the front shop. Let's do it.
All right, so this is probably the most, this is the workhorse of the shop.
This is the workhorse of the shop.
It's a real Datsun?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, so.
You guys restored that?
No, it's pretty clean. I mean, we did some work on it, but it's just so funny, right? You know, when you're a Datsun dork, you want to own everything Nissan, right? And years ago, I looked around for a forklift, and one of the young guys that works here named Nick, who I love his passion's like, you know what we need for the shop, man? A Datsun forklift. And I was like, man, I wanted to get one of those back in the day. And so then I started looking every morning on Craigslist, and sure enough, this popped up, and they were like, hey, it's got a leaking hose. We want to get rid of it. And I was like, can you deliver it? And they were like, yes. I was like, I'm in. And so, yeah, now we have a Datsun forklift, but like, check this out. Like, it's pretty clean. I mean, it's got
What is that, the Dino chart or something?
What's that? No, it just shows you all the information about it, and then check it out. Look, it has a Datsun badge just like the Z cars.
You're kidding.
Look at that.
It's like a
Exactly,
VIN
VIN plate.
plate.
Exactly. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, Datsun's rule. Yeah, so we use it all the time.
All right, this is something I wanted to see. So last time we came, we had a chance to drive Mrs. Butters, which is essentially your demo car.
Yeah.
And,
it's our R&D vehicle. Like, we test stuff on it, and customers can drive it to kind of see what they're getting themselves into.
Yeah, and I had such a good time driving it. But the original owner recently contacted you again, huh?
He did, yeah. And it was just unbelievable. He's been following the story and the path of Mrs. Butters. And so he sent me photographs of him with the car.
No way.
Yeah, and then wrote me this beautiful letter and just saying, you know, again, that he was so excited that, you know, I was the next caretaker of his Z-car. And so, like, how rad is that? Like, look at this artsy, kick-ass photo, man.
This is a photo?
Yeah. So cool. And then just look at it's awesome. He's been following the car. Like, he saw it on Petrolicious and just said, I knew that you were the right guy, and that's why I sold it to you. And I said, look, when the world starts rotating again, you're coming back to drive it.
Yeah.
So really cool. Just,
That's
again,
incredible.
yeah, and it just, as you can tell every time we talk, man, this shop is about the story, right? Like, it's 50 years later, and we're still telling the story of the BRE. I'm going to get a chance to tell the story of Corky Bell and his Trans Am season. I get to be a part of the Fitzy car, the Salt Flats car. We're going to drive a car that has 2,300 miles that never left Nissan. And we're going to drive that on the street. And then we're going to drive all the cool things that we did to your car and Trevor Z. And it's just, every car here has a story, and that's what's so magical about the Z Car Garage.
I think that's a good way to end it. That's Life Updates with Rob Fuller.
And the Chen.
Until next time, we're going to keep shooting. I'm going to shoot my car. We're going to go over my car. We're going to go over the Salt Flats car. We're going to go over your personal 510 that we didn't go over yet.
Sure. Is it out there? Let's see. Is it by the container? Look at that.
It's green.
Alone in the crowd.
And then we're going to go over this 280Z, which I think, as you mentioned, it's probably one of the most obtainable Z cars
Correct.
now. And what you've done to it is you've modernized it.
Correct.
And you've allowed these things to live on.
Absolutely. Yep, exactly.
And I think that's a wrap.